So, welcome. So, I'd like to welcome Mr. Neal Newman, right?
Yes, sir.
And he comes to us from sunny California. So, Mr. Neal, how did you get, tell us about your beginnings in the martial arts?
Okay, so I grew up in southern Jersey
Mhm.
and in the 1950s, which was an incredibly, hate to say it, racist and anti-Semitic area. It had the biggest Ku Klux Klan out the South. I had three war heroes in my life, my father and my two uncles, and they told me when someone calls you a dirty Jew, you answer with these, not the mouth. So I got into a lot of fights when I was a kid, always had a proclivity for mixing it up. It's just was one of those things. And as life progressed, I ended up in the nightclub business. I started as a bouncer when I was 19 years old. And I progressed and progressed and progressed and eventually became a bar owner, got into the ownership end of it. Always supplied my own security, always did my own hiring, was involved in the action on the floor. Well, definitely in the thousands of numbers over the course of the 30 years I was in the bar business, including my own clubs. And I was in the club I owned, which was a big rock and roll live music club, a real Jack Daniels and Budweiser crowd. It was in Worcester, Massachusetts, which is a stone hard, cold, tough town. A lot of guys, a lot of blue collar folks, just real tough people, And there was quite a bit of fight. So one night I had caught a kid in the men's room dealing cocaine. So I kind of threw him out with a little bit of an extra push to it, right out the door of the club, and he flew outside, landed on his face, and left. The next night, I was tending the bar, and a couple of guys were standing right in front of the bar, and they got into it with each other. So I was a master at getting over the bar. I cleared the bar, jumped over. I grabbed the one kid, ripped him apart, pulled him around and knocked him on his butt with a push. And then as soon as I turned to go after the other kid, I just got blasted in the face. And this kid, I know everyone in the industry here who I'm speaking to and everyone who trains knows that there's certain guys that know how to hit. They just have bazookas when it comes to a left or a right. And this kid stunned me. Then his other friend, whoever was with him, grabbed me from behind. He started rifling me, and then luckily the bouncers came. Okay, and we got him out. They ended up getting arrested the whole bit. Turns out that these two guys were the kid's brother who I had thrown out the night before, and the whole thing was a setup. They set me up. I had a reputation for being proactive in my club and breaking up fights, so they knew if they got into it, I was over the bar. So I said to myself at that point, I said, Newman, 10 years ago, that would have not happened to you. You would have at least got something on that punch. Okay, you would have got something on it. You would have got a hand on it. You would have moved. You got blasted. So I said to myself, it's time to do some training. So I started looking for a martial arts school, and I called around that whole area around Worcester. And I asked every single guy after I heard pretty much the rap about what they were doing, have you ever used your martial arts skills in an actual street situation? And I got a lot of bizarre answers, a lot of elongated answers. Being a kind of bona fide street fighter myself, I kind of knew there was some fluff in here. So I called one guy who happened to be a Parker Kempo school, American Kempo. And I love this guy right from the start. He was laid back, talked to me about his philosophies, went to the big picture before the individual stuff about Parker Kempo. And then I said to him at the end, I said, sir, did you ever use your martial arts skills in a real life situation? He goes, yeah, as a matter of fact, I did. I said, would you tell me about it? He said, yeah, I was in New York with my wife. And we were walking up the sidewalk, and there were a couple of guys coming towards us that I did not like their looks. And I really thought there was a chance that they might jump us. I said, well, what'd you do? He goes, I used my Parker Kempo. I said, what'd you do? He goes, I crossed the street. I said, I'm coming in right now and joining up. So I had a great career. And I still do my forms every day, my 6 black belt forms. Excuse me, my 7 black belt forms, 6 plus the bear, 4. And Um, I earned my black belt over the course of about four and a half, 5 years. I taught for Harry, the sensei and the owner of the business, for many years after that, and continued training after that. Um, and I was grateful because the school I was in had a really good core of guys. Okay, it was mostly kids, but the adults were a real good core of guys. They trained hard. A lot of guys were in construction. A lot of real guys who could stand up and take it. When you got into the upper levels, you could train pretty much as hard as you wanted. We wore an extra thick gi as long as you had control. Control was the key. So I was lucky because I got to really learn some good hardcore Parker Kempo, and it's still part of my life to this day. So that's my entrance into the martial arts world.
Oh, nice. And so, at what point did you get involved with Krav Maga then?
Okay, so I was out here on a business trip looking at a building, as a matter of fact, for a friend of mine that I went to college with to give him my professional opinion on whether I should buy it or not. And I went out for a drink one night and I met a beautiful young lady, and she ended up being my girlfriend and eventually my wife. And she had a big job out here on the West Coast, and one of us had to move. She was initially going to move. She was going to transfer to an office in Boston and move everything to Boston. But I said to her, I said, I've been in the bar business a long time. I've been doing the commercial real estate a long time. The market's good, and the bar business has been good to me, and it's a good time to sell a bar. I'm going to sell everything and move to the West Coast. So that's what I did. And when I came out here, I looked for Parker Kempo, but I really didn't find anything to my suiting. Okay, it just wasn't my kind of training.
Mm-hmm.
There didn't seem to be any large just Parker Kempo schools. They were sort of like spin-off programs and other types of karate schools, and there wasn't really enough of it, and the training wasn't on the level, the intensity that I had been at, probably ever since my brown belt and up. So
Mm-hmm.
I was just searching around, and I had done a Krav Maga course on the East Coast, a weekend training with the worldwide guys, Darren Levine, Sam Sadeh, and Amir Peretz. So I looked for a Krav school, and I found one in Fremont, California.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into the Krav school and did an interview with the head instructor and had a great rapport with him. So I decided to try it that night. And as soon as I tried it, I loved it. I was right into it. My kind of people, my kind of training, the mission statement, which is to me, all the growth and all the aesthetic parts of martial arts. Yeah, that's great. But my end game is protection and safety. And I could really see where Krav focused on that. And that's why I jumped into it so hard.
Oh, nice. And is it something that you do just for yourself personally, or do you teach? Do you have instructors?
Oh no, our school, when it gets rolling, and we've shut down for about a year and 4 months now, we have minimally anywhere from 650 to 700 students.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a big staff of 20 instructors. We have a Krav system that is a teaching system. Okay, so we use class plans, curriculums, test grids, student handbooks, teaching videos. Everything is coordinated. Okay, everything locks into each other. So we have quite a few Krav instructors and quite a few Krav classes, and of course we teach by levels. And it's systemized, it's organized. There's instructor training. We have senior instructors who have been with us for over 10 years. The head instructor of the school that I told you about, that where I started training in Krav, is now my partner. He and I decided to spin off from there and start the school on our own. So it's a well-integrated program. It's well thought out. It's systematized, and the instructors are extremely professional.
Nice. And how long is that? You said you have had some extra instructors for over 10 years. How long has the school been around?
We've been in the business. We just, as a matter, the funny thing is this: we opened up on July 5th, 2005, and now we're reopening after the pandemic on July 5th, 2021. Nice. So how about that's our 16th year? When Worldwide, who I have only good things to say about, okay, the big guys in the industry like Worldwide, Darren Levine, Amir Peretz, Sam Sadeh, John Whitman, the guy I call the Prince of Krav Maga, Eyal Yanilov. These guys are just phenomenal people, phenomenal trainers. They are the reasons why there's Krav in the United States, and everyone has to take their hat off to them for that. But when Worldwide lost the trademark, we decided to kind of form our own Krav system for business reasons, basically.
Right.
And that's when we went off and systematized things. And I got to tell you, it has been a battle. Okay, it takes a long time to develop an integrated teaching system that works for everybody. And I would say just until about 4 years ago, we were still in the tune-up process. Once about 4 years ago, we got all our ducks in an order, and we finally have something that is similar to what you get when you went to school, where the teacher has lesson plans, and there's a curriculum that she follows, and the tests are all uniform, and we've gotten to that point now, which is a great place to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would definitely make running the studio more efficient and able to deliver a more consistent experience for your students. What is the teaching, the main focus or the main teaching philosophy that you guys have at your studio?
Okay, so our big challenge and what we have always been noted for is a place where anyone can walk through the door in any shape, at any stage of any type of relationship to martial arts or self-defense training and feel comfortable. And that really gets down to the root of the fact that our job is to bring everybody up to their potential, not our expectations, what their potential is. I firmly believe that everybody has the innate ability to defend themselves. Everyone has the skills, potentially physically, and they have the mental acuity and purpose in their life to protect themselves. Life is the most precious thing, and we're all wired to protect it, our own, our loved ones, just like your dog will protect you no matter what you do, okay? Your dog will protect the herd no matter what you do. We have that ability ourselves. However, everyone has different abilities physically and mentally. Everyone has different backgrounds. So our job is to help you get up to your potential, the highest potential you can get to defend yourself and your loved ones, so you can walk around confidently and apply this type of problem-solving mentality throughout your life. In other words, our job is not only to give you the skills in street battle, it's to give you the skills in the life battle. And that's what we're about at ASD and Vanguard Krav Maga.
Nice. So is Vanguard Krav Maga does it mix other elements? Because you got a Kempo background, right? What about your business partner? Do they have another background and elements of that found its way in, or is it just pure Krav from the Krav Maga Worldwide lineage?
So as a matter of fact, my partner, I call him the encyclopedia of martial arts. I mean, the guy has more black belts than Bloomingdale's. Nice. But we have been vociferous about keeping other arts out of Krav Maga. Okay. However, there is a caveat here. Okay. The amazing thing about Krav Maga and what attracted me to it, one of the main reasons why I was attracted to it, was basically the techniques that Krav is giving you are training models, just like all martial arts systems have, just like all mental, physical systems have. There's training models, whether it's business, whether it's the piano, whether it's the trumpet, whether it's anything you're doing with your mind and your body, you have to have training models. Those techniques are training models. However, my opinion and what I was taught from, I think, all the guys across the board and all the ladies across the board, and I got to tell you, one of the most influential people in my entire Krav career was Marnie Levine, Darren Levine's wife, the first woman, American female Krav Maga black belt. She, in a training, a 8-day training, gave me so much clarity and cleaned up so many of my errors. She was like a beacon of light, this young lady. But anyway, the big thing is, once you address that danger, the mentality of Krav Maga is, we don't care what you do. Your job is to take this to the level to go home safely. If it can be done easily, it gets done easily. If this man has to be broken like a toy so he can't operate any longer, so you definitely are safe, you need to take it to that level. So, the thing is, I have no problem if our system is, if you're using the Krav technique properly when you're addressing the danger. If you flip in, if you're a Taekwondo black belt and you happen to kick this guy in the head to finish the fight, that's kosher in our system, okay? Because our job is to teach you how to be safe, okay? Mm-hmm. If you're an American boxer, okay, and your greatest weapon is your right hand, once you address the danger, if you want to use a right hand punch to disable your attacker, that's fine. Okay, the job, it's like Ed Parker once said. He was watching a student, the guy threw a punch at him, the kid blocked the punch, and he went, "Mr. Parker, was that a good block?" And Parker looked at him, he goes, "Did you get hit?" He goes, "No." He goes, "It was a great block." So the thing is, we are sticklers about sticking to the original, pretty much worldwide / Israeli Krav Maga system. Okay, we practice all the defenses, we practice all the techniques. However, if someone ends up using something from another system after they address the danger and they get the job accomplished by winning the fight, we're happy with that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So basically it doesn't, the whole goal is to go home safe. It doesn't matter how you get there, as long as you get there.
Exactly. However, when it comes to addressing the danger, how to disarm the gun, how to deal with the knife, how to deal with the choke, with the pluck, that we're all sticklers about. That you have to do properly. In other words, if you're not doing that defense, okay, properly, you're not going to pass your test. After that, after the essential threat is dealt with, you can do anything you need to do to go home safely.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so you mentioned that you moved from Boston to California, and so how do I put this without getting people from California, Boston mad? Who's tougher, people in Boston or people in California? Basically, is what I'm asking. Like, because you came from a area that you admittedly said that is a tougher area. Yeah. Do you find that the attitude is a bit different in California, or are they, I guess, harder in California or harder in Massachusetts?
Well, my feeling is this. When I was a kid, my father only gave me enough money to cover my tuition. So I traveled all around the country in the summers banging nails. I was in Houston, San Antonio, New York, Gainesville, Florida. And the interesting thing is this. The badasses are the badasses everywhere, okay? There are just some badasses out there. Guys who you're going to say the wrong thing to and they're going to haul off and smash you in the mouth, okay? That is a problem no matter where you go. Whether you're in California or Boston, if you go to certain places where there are people that are dangerous and aggressive and violent, you're going to have the same problems everywhere. As far as attitudes and communication differences, the East and the West Coasts are two different animals. There's no doubt about it. Growing up in Jersey, spending a lot of time in New York, most of my life in Boston / Worcester, people on the East Coast are much more direct with one another, and they're much more thick-skinned. Okay, so you can get a little bit. You can have a really good, frank conversation with folks, and it's not the end of the world. Out here, it's a little bit. You have to be a little bit more conscious of how you relate to people, especially in tone. Okay, because they get insulted, and that always breaks down communication. So you have to be, as they used to say, a little bit laid back.
Right. Okay. So do you think that because of that and those regional differences, that the way, like, let's say you guys opened up another studio on the East Coast, that the way you teach how to de-escalate might be a bit different, or how to relate would be a little bit different?
Absolutely, because let's not kid ourselves. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, and what I've seen, okay, in my bar bouncing days, there's two kinds of attacks out in the street, pretty much. There's the sneak attack, ambush attack, where someone just jumps you or belts you, okay, or out of the clear blue, and that's when you got to rely on that muscle memory to save you, okay, which happened to me a number of times in my career. Okay, being in the bar, because when you're in nightclub security, you're always in the defensive. In other words, when I see a fight, I can't run up and just knock some guy's teeth out, because I'm going to have a nice big old fat lawsuit on my desk. So you're always in a defensive position. So I've been cold cocked, I've been smacked over the head with stools, I've been hit in the face with a bug bottle. That's this nice little scar right here, and tried to be stabbed with the bottle after it broke. Those are ambushes. That's when you're relying on what Mr. Parker used to call position recognition. I've done it so many times. I've been here a million times before. I'm just reacting. Okay, there's your martial arts training. Basically, takes years, but if you do it, you will get it. Then there's the setup attack. Hey, you check. What are you looking at? Type thing. Okay, that's what I call the setup. And of course, in Krav Maga, we're going to go right into de-escalation. We're going to be in our fighting. It's called the passive stance, but we're basically in our fighting stance from the waist down, but our hands are up, protecting our rib cage, and we're going to try to de-escalate the situation. Now, to be quite frank, if you're a bouncer in the bar business and you're not de-escalating 90 to 95% of the problems, you're not going to have a long career as a bouncer, because you're not going to have many body parts left after a couple of years. Okay, so de-escalation is usually fairly easy to do, as long as you know what you're doing and you can back yourself up if it goes to the next level. So my motto, my personal model in the bar business when I train bouncers, and I try to extend this, is physical altercation is the worst possible solution to any problem. But if it happens, you need to win. You need to be victorious. And that's my mantra. Okay, so I'm a big believer in de-escalation, and it's fairly easy to do. But if you don't have the confidence that you can win the battle, if it breaks out, you're in trouble. Because the badass guys, the tough guys, they're going to sense that. Okay, they know right away when they got someone who can't back their stuff up. So when you stick your finger out to someone and say, dude, back down, you need cooler right now, there's got to be something behind that. You know what I mean? It can't be, hey, dude, take it easy, it's going to be okay. There's and that comes from the confidence that physical training gives you and your own skill set. One of the things I loved about Krav Maga was the initial emphasis on the combatives, okay, the punching, the kicking, the weaponry. And I asked an Israeli commando about this one time, because I'm on the board of directors of the FIDF, Friends of the Israeli Defense Forces, and I have a lot of some connections with some Israeli folks and guys who have been in the military and trained. I said to him, what is the emphasis on the combatives? And I remember he looked at me and he goes, if you do not have a loaded gun deep in your heart, you cannot win the fight. And that's why a bluff is a bluff. It might work for a little while, but once that guy cocks, you better have a bullet. Okay, so the thing is, you need to know that you can punch, that this is effective, that you can stop your opponent, that you can win the fight. You need to know that. And the beauty about Krav Maga is the fitness end of it, the combative end of it. It's all about explosiveness, endurance, and drilling those combatives. And I'm telling you, I tell people in 30 days, if you train seriously when you're here and you train a minimum of 2 times a week, your combatives in 30 days are going to empower you. You're going to stand in that mirror and you're going to think you're a new person. And I'm telling you, it works. It's pretty amazing.
So, yeah, I definitely agree with you, and I really like that quote. I might steal it, but
hey, everything is yours.
but so like in talking with other instructors around the world, right? The pandemic is, some people are seeing like a rise in tensions and in a lot of areas an increase in violence. How is it where you guys are? Because California was locked down for a long time, right?
It's brutal. It's brutal. Violence through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing, because when you're in the nightclub security business for so long, you really pick up on where people are at. You watch their habits. If they're regulars, you can track where they've been. You know what's going. You want to get what their moods are. And I'm telling you, I'm an observer of humans, okay? Because that's what my job was for 3 decades. And the kettle is getting to the boiling point out here individually. People, you see it in the driving, you see it in people's interpersonal relationships with each other, you see it in the divorce rate, you see it with the amount of police activity and crime on the streets. People are at their wits' ends, okay? And that covers all economic spectrums. It covers all different types of folks. Everyone is at their wits' end. They're frustrated, and the real problem is a lot of folks are at the set-off point where they're just about ready to go over the edge, and it doesn't take a lot to get them there. And that's what I see happening generally, and I think that's what's happening around the country. I have a very close associate. His name is Tom Patiri. He's the originator of the CDT system, and he's a Jersey brother, and we talk quite often. I think Tom is probably the best conflict de-escalator in the world. I don't think there's any doubt about it, and probably in the top 5 premier bodyguards in the world. And he was saying to me the same thing, Neal. I'm traveling all over, and you just see people. They're just they're at the edge. They're just you just can feel the tension out there, and I don't think there's any doubt about it. And I think that's what everyone's plugging into around the world, because all these guys who are teaching self-defense, they're doing what I just described. All you guys are great observation guys, because self-defense is observation, right? Isn't that step 1 pretty much, other than the ambush?
Yeah, exactly. So in your area, so how does that like if you were to give some tips to just people in your area on what they should be doing to stay safe, what sort of things would you give a civilian? What sort of tips would you give them, or the main thing you would tell them?
Okay, so my feeling is this, okay? When you're reaching pressure points like this and basic crime waves, this is all about preventive stuff, okay? Do not go to areas with high levels of crime, number 1. All the old adages. Mm-hmm. Stay calm in your interactions with other people. And if someone starts getting animated or flying off the handle, immediately assume the possibility there could be an altercation. But at that time is when you start your de-escalation. Hey, take it easy. It's okay. It's not that big of a deal. Try not to get into the emotion of the moment and turn it into a battle right away. Because in times like these, there's not going to be a lot of back and forth. Hey, you, hey, you, hey, you. The battle can start at the snap of a fingers. So what you don't want to do is feed the fire, okay? Because one thing I've learned, okay, and I've seen some really bad stuff on the street. I'm talking about people dead, people maimed. any level of violence, no matter how small it starts out as, whether it's an exchange of words or a shove, has a life of its own once it starts. And any act can turn into death or real physical injury. So the thing is this, you need to maintain that critical distance, okay? The Ed Parker mentality of far enough away where you cannot be reached by their legs. So you have reaction time, okay? And once that critical distance is breached, start thinking about what your next step is in physical altercations. You have to have these game plans in your mind. However, stay away from the bad spots, okay? We all know where they are, okay? If you're going someplace at night that you've never been before, scope it out in the daytime, okay? Know where you're going. Know your area. Do not be walking down the street with your cell phone. Be looking around you. Keep your eyes open. Keep your earphones out of your ears so you can hear everything around you. Pretend you are the greatest German Shepherd who ever lived in the world. Ears are up, eyes are open, nose is out, looking for anything moving. Look behind you, look to your sides, be aware of your environment and avoid it if possible. If not, get into the mentality that I may have to defend myself, set up and be prepared. And the biggest one of all, folks, is you need to train in self-defense. Okay? And I'm not telling you have to train in Krav Maga. I'm not telling you have to train in Jiu-Jitsu or Taekwondo or Parkour Kempo. What I'm telling you, get into training, okay? If you don't, regardless how little you know about fixing the engine in your car, you've got no chance if you don't have tools, okay? So it's time to start putting the tools in the toolbox, okay? And I'm going to tell you, once you start, you won't stop because there's nothing better than someone who can walk down the street and know they can be proactive in protecting themselves and they can not be a victim. Okay, there's nothing worse in life when you're outside on the streets of being a victim. Okay, you don't want to feel like a victim. You don't want to look at the world as a victim. You want to be the guy who says, okay, all of a sudden the predator gets the equation turned around on him and he's the damn victim. He's your victim. Okay. So this is what Krav is about, turning that equation around. Okay, dude, you're going to be making the mistake of becoming my trophy for my Krav Maga training. That's going to be your problem. You're not going to have a good day. That's what we got to get out there. That's what we got to get out in the world. That, dude, keep your hands off me because if you do, it's not going to be for free.
Nice. And of course, most importantly, train at Vanguard Vanguard Krav Maga, right?
Without a doubt. Okay? Without a doubt.
So what do you see as the future for Vanguard? Do you guys have plans to open up additional studios or train instructors to spread the system around your area? And how prevalent is Krav Maga in your area?
Krav Maga is fairly prevalent. It's pretty much everyone knows about it. Okay, I think we're one of the largest schools in all the Bay Area and maybe even California. Okay, now my feeling is this: I look at the Academy of Self-Defense as a whole. Okay, Krav is our bread and butter. We also have a Muay Thai program, and we also have fitness programs, and all the fitness is integrated in combatives and physical conditioning that will help you with your self-defense. So everything themes in self-defense, whether it's Krav or Muay Thai, and we have very reasonable prices, and we have most of our students, they train in unlimited programs where they pay and do everything. Because our, as we tell the Krav students, look, if you start jumping in the Muay Thai classes, your knees, your elbows, okay, they're going to get better and better. We tell the Muay Thai students, this is one of the greatest systems there is in the world. But if you want to be able to disarm a handgun or go up against a knife, you need to jump into the Krav classes. So everything matriculates with each other. So I think what our future is, we're going to open up on the 5th. We're going to be rocking and rolling just like we were before COVID shut us down with full schedules. But the great thing that happened over these last 16 months of being shut down is we started our programs online. And we are going to maintain that after we reopen. Okay. What happened was we had a lot of students who had been with us for years and years and years, and we started getting emails. Look, guys, we want to keep paying our membership, even though you're shut down, because we want to support you. Make sure you're here when this is over. So we decided to do some online training with them. We bought some nice cameras, set it up, and it got so successful, we expanded it. So we actually have, we call it the Peloton of self-defense training. We have, if you go to academyselfdefense.com, there are all our programs, including Krav Maga and Muay Thai and Krav Maga Kids program. And one of the things I'm proudest of is our Krav Maga Kids program. It is just phenomenal. Okay. So many people have trouble teaching Krav to kids. There's the chemistry sometimes is difficult to establish. You hear, well, Krav is a lethal system. You can't teach that to kids. Well, we have an incredibly well-populated Krav program. Now it's all on Zoom. Okay. But it's really a testimony to my partner, Ev Pepper, who's the chief instructor of Vanguard, and his upper level staff, that have done a phenomenal job really creating a Krav program that the kids are learning and the parents love, and it actually gives them self-defense, and they actually can matriculate into the adult program once they're finished with the kids program. So it's really phenomenal. So what we did is we spent a lot of money setting up real professional camera and scenery. We set up a real professional production. And we have over 20 live classes a week, and we have over 2,000 on-demand trainings now. Wow. And we have this laid out in a schedule that's, some of them are live, some of them are on demand throughout the day, and then you can go directly to what you want to train in, and there's hundreds of training videos for almost every program. Nice. Yeah, it's pretty good. We have quite a few people training online now, and we're going to maintain it, and we're going to package that into all our memberships. And we're going to eventually, as far as opening up other schools, we actually planned on doing that for a while, but when COVID hit, that's on the back burner now. What I have to do is get the mothership off the ground again, get the cash flow going big time, and then really tune up the online, because that's something we're starting to pick up memberships from around the world and around the country now. The big thing is we're testing on Zoom, okay? And we're having a really good time with it. And the nice thing is some of our previous students, okay, who have been training with us for years and years and years, who are upper level belt Krav guys, have been training on Zoom. And it's very interesting. Technically, when they're running through the techniques, a lot of them are a lot better because they can go on demand and they can practice what they learned as much as they want. It's sort of having your textbook. After you go to your college class, your high school class, you can go home and go to chapter 90 and say, oh, this is what he taught me today. And you can go over it over and over again until you get it. So on our website, we have all our curriculum laid out by levels, and there's a 20-minute, anywhere from 10 to 20-minute teaching video on every single technique for that level that you need to know for your advancement. So you can go home and zero in and practice something over and over again. And the technical level of the students is phenomenal. And hopefully that will convert into the live testing once we get going again. Nice.
Yeah, so it really seems like you guys embraced the online, because I know a lot of instructors did not. Yeah. And there's for a lot of people, there's a general feeling that you cannot teach Krav online. So I'll have to check out your online
we got a great deal. It's called the academyselfdefense.com. It's a 2-week free trial, so everyone should go on there and give it a shot. We also have our Vanguard Krav Maga specialist division training, which we started, and these are 4 to 8 hour trainings where we break the Krav down into hand-to-hand level 1 and 2, knife and club level 1 and 2, and then we go into handgun, long gun, and these are 8-hour trainings for each quadrant that we do for anyone who can't train long term, but they want to come in and train in Krav Maga. and we give them a nice medallion for the Krav Maga specialist thing. And then there is a Krav Maga specialist website that is also on ASD Online that you have full access to. So you have hours and hours of trainings, and even all the advanced stuff is right there online for people to look at. My feeling is this. Look, I was always had a problem with these quotas people had to train in to get a certain level. Okay. In other words, if you want a yellow belt, you have to train 9 years and do 20,000 classes. And if you want this belt, you have to do that. Okay. We're teaching self-defense here. If someone wants to train their butts off and they're good athletes and they're dedicated and they really want it and they want to move up that ladder and they want to get to the level they want to get to the level, we're going to let them move up in advancement as fast as they can get there. Now, in the live training, however, we do have number of classes in there, okay, and that's strictly for guidance for them, okay. In other words, we're not going to let someone come to us and who got his blue belt test and who wants to move to brownies and do it in 14 classes. No, that's not going to happen. But the thing is this: we test every 3 months, okay. So if you think you're ready to test, okay, and you have the minimal number of classes, we're going to let you test. There's not going to be any extra level of checking you out. If you want to test, you're going to test. However, online, if you want to move up that ladder and just take class after class after class, we will give you the Zoom testing.
Nice.
Was that confusing?
No. It's interesting. It's a slightly different view on testing and moving through the levels. It's I like it. So if people wanted to get in contact with you guys, how would they do it?
Okay. The best thing would be I'm going to give you my personal email and cell phone number, because we're so busy now that we're getting who knows how many calls we're getting on the school phone. And I'm direct and get back to you right away. So let's do that. It's the best point of contact at this point.
Cool. We'll take your information. We'll post it in the notes section for the interview, and then anyone that wants to contact you or definitely check you out online, then we'll have that there for them, and hopefully at some point in the future we can talk again. I had lots of fun discussing with you. You're very entertaining and seem to have. I feel like you might have more stories and more experience to share with everybody.
My friend, I have. It's funny. It was like I was telling a friend of mine about all these crazy fights I've been in and I've observed. And he said to me, he goes, Neal, the one really nice thing about your stories is you can tell they actually happened. So anytime you want to do a fun series of real fights of the infamous and infamous, I will be happy to do them with you.
There we go. Well, thank you for your time.
Hey, and thank you for the opportunity. I think this is a great thing you're doing for the Krav Maga world, man. This is exactly what we need, where all the folks taking Krav bind together in a brother and sisterhood instead of competing with each other, because there's plenty of people out there to get as your students and do business with. And our main goal is EMI's goal, so everyone can walk the earth safely. That's what we have to get together about. Exactly, and that is the goal of Krav Life, is just to build a community and have everyone interacting. I don't care whether you're in the United States, Canada, Israel, South Africa, everywhere in the world. There's Kravists, and we can learn from each other, because that's the only way the art is going to progress forward. Exactly. And hey, what you do is just a big deal. So thank you very much. All right, thank you, sir, and enjoy your sunshine. And and have a great day. You too. Thank.